It is my honor to welcome for the first time to the program. He is a UFC Hall of Famer, the Huntington Beach bad boy, Mr. Tito Ortiz. Tito, thank you very much for taking the time.
All right, I'm about to bust your balls there for a second. It's no longer the bad boy, it's the people's champ.
Oh, yeah, the people's champ. Of course.
No, I just want to make sure that you're correct. You're not on old times anymore, because I can imagine you could really keep yourself updated, so I just want to make sure that you keep it straight.
Yeah, I know that it's the people's champ, but I was just so used to saying the Huntington Beach bad boy for so long. It's just, I think Huntington Beach, every time I hear Huntington Beach, California, I think Tito Ortiz right away.
Word. Yeah, I've kind of graduated into something bigger and better. No longer a boy, now I'm a man doing great things. So just try to keep it right, you know?
All right. I'm sorry, Tito. I'll keep it right.
I'm just playing with you. I'm playing with you.
Tito, how has retirement been for you? You've been retired for a couple months now. How's it feeling? How are you adjusting? I know you're onto a lot of big things all over and sticking in MMA. And how is it for you just being retired and knowing that you don't have a fight coming up?
It feels really, really good. I think the fight's always been a great feeling to have. It's just the training really sucks. I've been doing it for 15 years, man, and putting in, the 8-hour days, 6 days a week. It just got monotonous, crazy. I just got so sick of it, man. And, it was my biggest opponent and my biggest threat to myself was my body, myself, man. I just having injuries after injury, surgery after surgery. Now I still got to get ACL replaced on my right knee. I have to get C3, C4, my neck fused. I'm sick of surgeries. Now that I'm retired, I'm able to get myself fixed. Thanks to Zuffa and UFC, taking care of me. But for once, I could actually sit back and instead of using my brawn, time to use my brains. See how smart I truly am.
And I think you're doing a real good job at that, already getting into MMA management. And signing a big-time star in Cristiane Cyborg Santos. How did you getting into management all work out? Why did you decide to go and start doing that?
Well, I looked at management, and managers were out getting guys sponsors and out, getting signing some of the biggest fighters in the world, but that's all they were doing. They were getting guys sponsors, getting them good fights, and that was it. I want to make a model of management, of taking care of these fighters, thinking of their future, thinking of 10 years from now, not just fight by fight by fight, by sponsor, but making a brand of them, bringing to the table that no one in management this company has ever done before, of trying to mold these guys into the next biggest thing or the next best thing. A lot of these fighters got the game plan for a fighter to fight, but what else are you going to do? Can you do great interviews? Can you hold, commentating role? Can you be a host on a show? Can you do these extra things that will actually bring your value into mixed martial arts? As you watch professional wrestling, you watch boxing, these guys talk so well. That's why they're making the big dollars, People like myself, Chuck Liddell, he's not really a great talker. I think he's more of the company guy. But, Randy Couture, a lot of other guys who have done great things who are made millions because of the company, millions because of their name. I want to bring the same thing to the table with some of these younger fighters that are coming up, and that's why I think I came up with my own idea of making an amateur league, kind of like the Golden Gloves of boxing, but the Golden Gloves of MMA. I really want to get the amateur guys and mold them and make them to the next best things. And these guys will kind of tally up with what mixed martial arts is truly about. Because, like I said, I'm looking for the next generation. I'm challenging these guys to come out and make something better of themselves as just a fighter. And I know a lot of fighters are listening, but you got to understand, this fight game, if you think yourself as just a fighter, you're going to be forgotten about. You're going to go from fight to fight, and that's it. Just think about what's going to happen after. When we're 35, 40 years old, 50 years old, what are you going to do after when you're retired and you're done? And this is the business model that I've done for myself, and I've done a really great job so far, I think. And I'm very thankful to Lorenzo Fertitta and Frank Fertitta and Dana White for giving me the opportunities I've had through my career, all the chances they've given me to really, show my self-worth, to show my business acumen. And I'm very, very lucky.
And as far as some of the things that you want fighters to do and you want them to think about, you talked about doing MMA play-by-play and just doing different things around the sport. What do you tell them to do to prepare for that kind of stuff? What can you do to get yourself ready for those kinds of opportunities?
Well, in the beginning when I first started this management company, I did a few interviews and I kind of said what to do. So I'm not going to say any more because now I'm going to give other managers the idea to do the same thing I'm thinking about.
All right.
I don't want to kind of give out my recipe that I'm going to make champions great, and I'm going to do that. And I think I've been lucky, and I've showed the hard work and dedication that I've had through my career to achieve these things. When I went to college, I was lucky to get educated and to think of what's going to happen after. I mean, my whole career, I can remember, the very, very beginning. I mean, when me and Chuck used to train together, I was like, Chuck, man, you got to do something. You got to do the clothing line. He's like, nah, all I care about is fighting. I go, what are you going to do after our careers are done? What are you going to do when we can't fight anymore? He's like, I don't care. I just want to fight. Like, okay. And that's when I went about myself. I was thinking, I'm going to make team punishment. I'm going to make punishment athletics. I'm going to make punishment nutrition line. I'm going to make punishment gyms. I mean, I'm going to go outside. And now that I have Primetime 360 sport management, it's bringing this situation to other fighters to come in and to give them their lives up. That's the factor of being fighters. If you want to be a fighter, that's a hobby. If you want to be a professional fighter, now that's a lifestyle where you got to come in and you got to put the time in. Where you're thinking about 10 years from now, you're not thinking about the next year, the next 2 years to become world champion. Because I sat on Chris Cyborg, and she was like, Tito, I won the world title. I sat in my room, and all I had was a world title. I had no money. I had nothing. How can I make more money? How can I make this happen? I was like, sign with me, and I'll help you get to that point, and I'll show you the situation to get to that. And I've already started her with classes to help her with a lot of her English speaking. And I want to get her to other stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff that I don't want to let people know, but you'll watch and you'll see. I mean, she was going down the wrong alley just with her career, I think. People around her kind of guided her in the wrong way. She got caught up in some stuff last year, and I wanted to save her. I want to give her a chance because, I've worked out with the girl. The girl's an amazing person, an amazing athlete, and I think everybody gets a second chance in life. And this is her chance to make the second chance like no other, and that's what I told her. I'll put my name, I'll put my stamp on her, and I'm going to tell her the way to do things the right way. And I think there's a lot of fighters out there that have been in the same situation that I think I could help and correct them through the things I've gone through the last 15 years through trial and error. I've made a lot of mistakes, with UFC, and I think I've corrected those mistakes, and I'm very apologetic for the things I've done prior, but I was only learning as good as I knew, and I've learned from it. Now I will never make those mistakes again, and I can imagine Dana's heard all my interviews so far of me becoming a manager, and then he's like, oh, now we've got to work with Tito. Great. But I've made the mistakes already. I'm not going to make those second mistakes again. I've done that, and I won't do that. I just want to make the next superstars. I want to help these people become great. Another way to do that is making sure that they want to do it themselves, where, like I say, being professional outside the cage, inside the cage, and everywhere walks of life, where to them it's a business. It's not strictly just a fight. It's a business, and that's what I've taken through my career, and I'm going to do the same thing with a lot of these young fighters that are up and coming.